Hello and a very warm welcome to Story English Podcast, the place where we turn everyday British mishaps into your secret weapon for mastering the English language.
I am Daniel, joined as always by the wonderful Clara, and today we are diving into a territory that is quintessentially British, the art of the polite yet deeply pained supermarket complaint.
Oh, it is a delicate dance, isn't it? Today's episode is titled, I Accidentally Bought Slimy Lettuce and Complained Like a Brit, and it is a saga of social anxiety, internal monologues, and the ultimate quest for a crisp romaine.
It sounds like a low-stakes thriller, but for anyone who has ever felt their heart race at the thought of approaching a customer service desk, this is high drama.
It really is. Before we get into the muck, literally, keep your ears open for 3 specific British phrases: to be gutted, to have a moan, and the classic stiff upper lip.
We will also be looking at the grammar of the third conditional, those moments where we imagine how things could have gone differently if only we had checked the use-by date.
Plus, we have some rich vocabulary like bog standard, faff, and the dreaded wilted. Let's set the scene, shall we?
The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, a clinical buzz that mirrored the slight throbbing in my temples as I stood by the refrigerated vegetable aisle at 7 on a Tuesday evening.
You were tired, Daniel, the kind of tired where your brain starts making poor executive decisions, like choosing a pre-packaged salad bag from the very back of the shelf without looking.
Exactly. I was operating on autopilot. I grabbed the bag, tossed it into my basket alongside a tin of beans and some sourdough, and made a beeline for the self-checkout.
And I bet you didn't even notice the condensation inside the plastic, did you?
Not a bit. It wasn't until I got home, kicked off my shoes, and started preparing a celebratory Caesar salad that the horror revealed itself. I reached into the bag, expecting a crunch, and my fingers met something translucent, something gray, something profoundly liquid.
Oh, the dreaded slimy lettuce. It's a betrayal of the highest order.
It was appalling. I stood there staring at this green sludge, and my first thought wasn't about the £3 I'd spent. It was about the social cost of going back. I thought to myself, if I had only looked at the leaves in the shop, I wouldn't be in this predicament.
That is the internal conflict, isn't it? The British dilemma. Do I accept the loss and eat a piece of toast, or do I go back and risk looking like a difficult person?
I sat on my sofa for 10 minutes just staring at the receipt. I was gutted. I've been looking forward to that salad all day. I started weighing the options. It's just a bag of leaves, Daniel, I told myself. Don't be that guy. Don't make a scene.
But the principle of the thing started to itch, didn't it?
It did. I realized that if I didn't say something, I'd just spend the rest of the evening having a moan to my flatmate about it anyway. So I decided to channel my inner warrior. I put my shoes back on, grabbed the offending bag, now leaking slightly, and headed back into the night.
The walk back to the supermarket is always the longest walk. It's the walk of the righteous, but also the walk of the deeply embarrassed.
I felt like I was carrying a hazardous bioweapon. When I walked through those sliding doors again, the security guard gave me a look that said, "Back so soon?" I tried to maintain a stiff upper lip, nodding firmly as if I were on a very important mission.
Then you saw it, the customer service desk, the final boss of the supermarket experience.
There was a queue. 2 people. One woman was complaining about a voucher that wouldn't scan, and she was being very loud about it. I felt my resolve crumbling. I didn't want to be associated with her energy. I just wanted a crisp lettuce without the faff.
It's that fear of being perceived as that kind of customer. We Brits spend half our lives trying to be invisible, don't we?
We really do. I almost turned around. I thought, I'll just buy another one. I'll pay twice. It's a small price for my dignity. But then I looked at the liquid at the bottom of the bag again. It was bog-standard negligence from the shop. I had to stay.
What happened when you finally reached the front? Did your voice do that thing where it goes up an octave?
It did. I approached the young man behind the counter, his name tag said Toby, and I started with the most British opening possible. I said, "I am so sorry to bother you, but I think there might be a slight issue with this lettuce."
You apologized for their mistake. It's a classic move.
I did. I was practically begging him to forgive me for bringing his attention to the fact that they were selling compost in the fresh produce section. Toby looked at the bag, then he looked at me. There was a long pause.
The tension is palpable. Did he challenge you? Did he ask for a receipt you'd accidentally dropped in a puddle?
He didn't. He just sighed, a very deep, soulful sigh, and said, "Third one tonight, mate. The fridge in aisle 4's on the blink."
So you weren't a difficult customer after all. You were a victim of a faulty appliance.
Precisely. But even then, I couldn't just take the refund and go. I felt the need to over-explain. I started telling him about my Caesar salad plans. I told him I wasn't usually the type to complain. I was basically performing a one-man play about my own politeness.
It's our way of saying, please don't think I'm mean. We want the refund, but we want the love of the staff even more.
Toby just handed me a £5 note, more than the lettuce cost, and told me to go grab a fresh one from the delivery crates at the front. He said, "Sorry about the faff. Have a good one."
And just like that, the dragon was slain. The Slimy incident was resolved with a bit of mutual British sighing.
I walked home feeling like a hero. I'd faced my fear of confrontation, and I'd come out with a crisp, non-liquid romaine. If I hadn't gone back, I would have spent the night feeling annoyed and hungry. Instead, I had a great salad and a sense of triumph.
A true supermarket saga. It's funny how these small interactions carry so much weight for us. Now, Daniel, I think it's time we look at some of the language that made this story so very British.
I agree. Let's break down those phrases and the grammar that helped us navigate the slimy lettuce crisis.
First up are British phrases. Daniel, you mentioned being gutted when you saw the state of the lettuce.
To be gutted is a very common way to say you are extremely disappointed or upset. It's quite informal. You might hear a football fan say they were gutted when their team lost in the final minute.
It's got a real physical weight to it, hasn't it? Next, we had to have a moan. You said you would have had a moan to your flatmate.
This means to complain in a casual, frequent way. It isn't a formal complaint, it's more like a bit of a grumble. We Brits love having a moan about the weather or the trains.
And finally, the famous stiff upper lip.
Quietly certain, this describes the traditional British quality of remaining calm and unemotional in a difficult or embarrassing situation. It's about hiding your feelings and just getting on with things.
Now, let's look at that grammar pattern. We used the third conditional quite a bit in the story. Daniel, you said, if I had only looked at the leaves in the shop, I wouldn't be in this predicament.
Actually, that's a mixed conditional, but the core idea of the third conditional is if plus past perfect, would have plus past participle. For example, if I'd checked the date, I would have seen it was expired.
We use this to talk about imaginary situations in the past, things that didn't happen and their hypothetical results. For instance, if she had arrived earlier, she would have caught the bus. Or, if we hadn't complained, we wouldn't have received a refund.
It's the language of regret and reflection, very useful when you're looking back at a supermarket disaster.
Let's move on to our vocabulary. We had bog standard first.
Bog standard is a great British term for something that is completely ordinary, basic, or unexceptional. A bog standard sandwich is just bread and cheese, nothing fancy.
Then we had faff. You wanted a lettuce without the faff.
A faff is a lot of unnecessary effort or trouble. If something is a bit of a faff, it means it's more complicated or time-consuming than it should be.
And finally, wilted and slimy.
Wilted is what happens to plants and vegetables when they lose water and become limp or droopy. Slimy, of course, describes that unpleasant, slippery, wet texture that no one wants on their salad.
It's been quite the journey from the fridge to the customer service desk. I hope our listeners feel more prepared for their next shopping trip.
I certainly do. It's all about finding that balance between being polite and standing your ground.
Why not try using one of today's phrases in a conversation? Maybe tell a friend about something you were gutted about, or mention a bit of a faff you had today.
We would love to hear your stories. Come back and share your experiences in the comments. We read every single one of them.
If you enjoyed learning real British English through our stories, do hit that subscribe button. We have new episodes arriving for you every single day.
Thank you for joining us on Story English Podcast. We'll see you in the next aisle.
Until next time, keep practicing and take care of yourselves.
And remember, always check the lettuce before you leave the shop.
Goodbye for now.
Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.